Shamaya, you did it.
STL Music.
Welcome back to the show. Yo, listen up, we back in the game. Sweep the league, we got the flame. Motivated to the fullest every single day. We wake up, get it in every way. Rifle and 222 in the global inspiration. Talk this sports and top news, no hesitation. Sweep the league is back. We always coming back, that's a fact. Wanna tell them that STL Music, mama, we did it, where we at? Coach Jill in the house with the flow so tight. Every girl, rubber rocks, that's we united. The best show, Monday through Friday. If this ain't different, they lying. We got the energy. When I say sweep, you say the league. Sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go.
Hey, it's Rain Fernandez, and you're watching Sweep the League. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and Facebook at Rain Fernandez, R-A-Y-N-E, Fernandez.
2, 1.
Well, as you guys can tell, Derek Irvin doesn't miss anything. If you don't want to miss anything as well, go to YouTube. Search at Sweep the League TV. Be a subscriber today. We're giving away a bunch of prizes and stuff. Be a subscriber today so you don't miss, just like Derek never misses. Subscribe to Sweep the League.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League TV. Follow me on Instagram at official Sherilyn for more content.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
I don't hear you, Rudy.
Okay. Can we hear each other now? Derek, can you hear me?
I hear you. Yes.
All right. Sorry about that. I was on the entire time. Man, I went at 5-7 minutes in, so let's start this over again. Welcome to Sweep the League. It's Derek Griffin, Rudy Campos Jr. I guess my mic got messed up somewhere in there. I'm sorry for everybody. I just got to the comments late, so appreciate everybody joining us here on Sweep the League. So let's reiterate this. We're going to go over our rankings for the NFL tonight. Our friends over at Pro Football Talk. We're going to go over our NBA rankings from the score. We got our first edition of NBA rankings. Talking about the Spurs tonight. They're probably getting their next loss right now. They'll be 3-5 against Houston. They're losing. But I was also letting everybody know tomorrow night we've got a very special guest, Antoine the Judge Gobert. He is a Detroit, Michigan legend, and a lot of people don't know the name Antoine the Judge Gobert. He was a University of Michigan player. He was drafted in the 6th round by the Detroit Pistons hometown team. Didn't play professional NBA ball, but he did play, I believe, overseas. He did play some professional ball. I think the IBA, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the leagues that he was in, one of the first leagues. But he's actually coaching community college right now. So he's more of a high, like a Detroit legend. Am I correct on saying that?
He's, if not the most popular, one of the most popular to ever come out of Michigan, and that includes Magic Johnson, George Gervin, Spencer Haywood, etc.
Yeah, so it's going to be a blast. Now, I always ask you, and I ask a couple of other guys too that we've talked to your basketball, but was he a part of the St. Cecilia fame?
Yes, that as well, and Michigan Wolverines.
Michigan over. Now, I was kind of taken back a little bit because I saw that one of his teammates in Michigan was Roy Tarpley.
Rest in peace, Roy. Yes.
Rest in peace, Roy. I know he had a tough time in the NBA, but Roy Tarpley was actually one of my favorite players growing up when he played with the Dallas Mavericks. I saw him play a couple of times, and just he had tough times. Man, stayed in the league, got banned in the league, but to my surprise, knowing that the Judge was actually a teammate of Roy Tarpley, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that's kind of like a small world type of me. But
it's a lot of young people might not know who Roy is, but when you talk about rebounding, you're talking about the Wilt Chamberlains, the Dennis Rodmans, guys like that, Andre Drummond, who's a great rebounder, Dwight Howard. Roy was one of those guys. Get you 25 rebounds, 30 rebounds.
Yeah, Roy, he was a hell of a rebounder, man. How good of a career do you think Roy would have had if he had been stable and stayed in the NBA?
He wasn't a flashy offensive player, but he was a guy that could score. But he played really hard. I think his career, he would be one of the best power forwards to ever play the game because he was going to consistently give you 15 points, but he was going to consistently give you 20 rebounds. So I think Roy would have been one of the top power forwards that ever played the game.
That says a lot, man. I really wish a lot of guys would remember Roy Tarpley. Didn't have a really big NBA career. Obviously, he was banned from the NBA. And it's one of those guys that you just had to really know about him. Luckily, I was able to see him play a couple times for the Dallas Mavericks. But shout out to Christopher Leha, man. MCS General Contracting, as you can tell, got the MCS hat, the crystal clear black hat here for MCS General Contracting.
Hey, Chris.
I got one for you.
Oh, my man. All right.
I got one for you. Don't worry.
Right.
Don't worry, man. We got you taken care of. MCS General Contracting, backed by Sweep the League, backed by everybody that uses them. They do it right the first time. Call them. It's going to be the only call you're going to make. Call them now. MCS General Contracting, proud sponsors of Sweep the League. Derek, it's going to be a fun show tomorrow. And I'm excited to talk to Antoine Gobert tomorrow. It's first time I've actually talked to him. I've known a little bit about him. You've talked to me about him a whole lot. So, well, we got a question here. So we got Michael Hair Jordan Hilliard in here. Can we speak on what happened to get banned? So
Roy,
Yeah, you want to talk on the Roy Tarpley as to
Yeah, I
why he
played
got
against
banned.
Roy in high school, and thanks for writing and sending your question in, Michael Air Jordan Hilliard, who I know is Turtle from George Gervin Academy. Roy had substance abuse problems, and so that kind of was his downfall in the NBA. He was suspended on a few different occasions, and at that time, he was a really good guy, but sometimes the other things happen, I'll say, in our lives, and sometimes we don't mature fast enough. But yeah, he was banned for substance abuse.
Yeah, it was all substance abuse for Roy Tarpley. It just something that was hard to kick, man. For Roy, and ended up getting him banned in the NBA. So there's a lot of different guys that it's always the what ifs. I mean, you got Roy Tarpley and the what if. Everyone knows about Len Bias. That's a big what if. Then you go to injury plagued guys. Brandon Roy is another big what if he wasn't injured so much. I even think you can probably throw Grant Hill in there as well because he had a whole lot of injuries.
My teammate Sam Bowie, who was drafted in front of Michael Jordan, perfect example.
Yeah, that is a perfect example. Sam Bowie. I mean, could you even possibly throw Greg Oden in there?
Yeah, I would throw Greg in there for sure. They had big expectations for Greg coming out of high school and then coming out of Ohio State, and he just didn't pan out, man. But he did have injury problems, and I got to be honest, I'm hoping that this doesn't happen to guys like Victor, because sometimes you got the taller guys, they have like problems with their legs.
Yeah,
and I'm hoping that Victor, so far he's been pretty much injury free. And I'm praying for him every day, man, because I want to see him go on and have a great career, and I don't want it to be interrupted by injuries.
Yeah, we got another great question here. Thank you, appreciate Louisville for the first time, and Leja's in here. He's like, "Hey, where's mine?" Yeah, he got you.
Sir,
We got you covered. I went to go meet with one of the bosses on our sponsors, so we got you covered there. I got your hat. Don't worry about that, man. Tim's here, Poodle Blue Devils. It's funny. I got to talk about the Blue Devils at least sometime today. If not today, during the week, we're going to mention them. Michael's in here. Grant Hill definitely got a question for you, Derek. We're going to throw this one to you here. Appreciate Louisville for the first time. He's in the chat here. Be sure to hit me up, Louisville for the first time commenting on here. From what I understand, we're going to hit you up. So we'll try to get you a prize here from Sweep the League. Great question. How good are the Cleveland Cavaliers, Derek? Are they legit this season?
I think they're playing right now with 8-0. I just think, man, I don't know yet because there's still a lot of questions. My issue with Cleveland is come playoff time. Sometimes they've had trouble. Evan Mobley is playing a lot better this year right now. And the only biggest question I have is like guys like Jared Allen.
Yeah.
We saw him pretty much disappear the last 2 years in the playoffs. But I can only go by right now and this year, and they look like a legit contender right now. Right now, I would have them as the second best team in the Eastern Conference, if not first. I might even have to put them ahead of Boston because the way Boston looked tonight, I know they didn't have Jaylen Brown, but still, Boston has been kind of suspect as compared to what we're used to last year. So Cleveland right now, I have them in the top two teams in the East.
Is it fair to Cleveland to say that a lot of their season depends on how healthy Jared Allen can be? Because he has been bitten by the injury bug.
Health, but just being a little more active come playoff time, because he's not a guy that's going to score a lot for you, but he has to be able to control that paint area defensively. As he's a really good rim protector during the regular season. He's not a guy that's going to give you a lot of points, but he does all the little things. He sets good screens and things like that. So for me, it depends on how far Jared and Evan Mobley can take them. If those guys can stay consistent, it makes them a very formidable team.
Yeah, we're going to get into our NBA power rankings here in just a little bit. We do a lot of the power rankings on Wednesday, so we drop the Pro Football Talk power rankings for NFL. We go over that. We also now going to start dropping the power rankings from the Score this week. So it's basically week one NBA power rankings, see where we feel teams basically are, if we agree with them or not. Talking to Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. Coach Joe should be back in later the week tomorrow. Antoine, the Judge, Joe Bear, Detroit high school legend, Detroit legend in general from Michigan. We're going to talk to him also about St. Cecilia, just get another guy's perspective on the whole St. Cecilia gym games. I mean, the classics that you always hear about. Everybody talks about Rucker Park, and everybody talks about, those types of games, but nobody ever talks about St. Cecilia, where it's probably, I would probably put it up there about Rucker Park, if not bigger than Rucker Park, man, game-wise.
People love Rucker Park because first is New York, and then you got guys like Nate Tiny Archibald for the ones that really study the game. You got Dr. J and people like that, and it was outside basketball. And as you know, Kevin Durant showed up there and put on a clinic one time. You had different guys. Right? Kobe went there, so that kind of put them over some of these other places. But if you're a Michigan guy and in that area, period, the Midwest, you know about St. Cecilia.
Yeah, you know about St. Cecilia, and we're going to get more information on St. Cecilia tomorrow when we talk to Antoine the Judge, Joe Bear. Also, shout out, Tuesday night, we're going to have Sweep the League at 9 o'clock, so don't worry about that. But starting on Tuesdays, we're going to try to do something different here. We're halfway through the NFL season, Derek. So now that we're about halfway through the NFL season, it's time for the mock drafts to start coming out. Who do we see in college? Who do we feel is going to be the best QBs, the best defensive players available? It's going to be myself, William Yanish, and Brandis. We're all going to be together. We're going to talk a little bit of mock draft. We're going to talk a little bit about NFL draft. We're going to drop some players, give you some Heisman candidates for the year. We're going to do that once a week. More like it's going to be every Tuesday right before Sweep the League. So you're getting more shows from Sweep the League. You have Sweep Unplugged. You got a bunch of other stuff coming out. So be sure to stay tuned to Sweep the League. Shedeur Sanders, he's actually come up, Tim. You always bring up Shedeur, but he actually is coming up. I promise you on that. You know what, Derek? Let's go ahead and release our power rankings from pro football. So here you go, man. Do you really think your Detroit Lions are going to be number one? They should be. I would think they are. Let's find out. They are number one.
Well, they do have the Lions first.
They got the Lions number one. Chiefs are the second best team according to Pro Football Talk. Bills, Commanders, Ravens, Steelers, Eagles, Vikings, Packers, Falcons rounding out the top 10. Cowboys with more drops. They dropped another 2, I believe, Rick. Now they're 23rd on the list. What your first thought on the list right now? How do you like these power rankings right now?
They actually look. The first 5 is the same 5 I have, but I still have the Ravens over the Commanders, and I think for me it's I love Daniels, Jalen Daniels, but when you have the MVP, I still have to give him a little nod over the Commanders. The Commanders still have a little more to prove. I'm liking how Lamar and those guys are looking, especially when they get Derrick Henry involved and keep him involved. Other than that, I mean, it looks pretty good. Russell Wilson's got the Steelers up to number 6. I can't really argue too much. My only thing would be maybe the Ravens over the Commanders right now.
Yeah, I would probably put the Ravens over the Commanders. Well, then again, I don't know, man. I mean, the Commanders are looking really damn good. And then trade deadline, they added Marshawn Lattimore for that defense already. So I was hoping they would have added another receiver somewhere in there for Washington. They didn't quite get one. They added some defensive presence with Marshawn Lattimore. I'm okay with the rankings still. Call me crazy, but I still don't have the Chiefs as the second best team in the league. I know they're winning, and Monday night I'll give them that. They won that game. I know people are like, oh, the offensive lineman, should have been a false start. Yet they won that game. I'll give them credit. They won that game. There's been a lot of games they shouldn't have won, but I'll give them credit on that game. They did win it. So I would probably still have the Bills, in my opinion, slightly better than Kansas City. Even though they
laughed at me at the beginning of the year, huh? When I said the Super Bowl.
You said Bills and Lions Super Bowl.
Look at those Bills, man. I love the Bills. I would probably have them number 2. I don't know, because that's a tough one. I still think DeAndre Hopkins has helped offensively and helped kind of ease the burden for Patrick Mahomes. And the guys have seemed to welcome him with open arms. So I would probably have them. Buffalo struggled the 2 games they lost. But lately, if you look at how they've played the last several weeks, they have looked like the second best team, but I can't do that to the Chiefs yet because they are the defending 2-time champions and they're undefeated.
I guess we're disrespecting Kansas City by having Detroit number 1, even though they only lost one game. I mean, if people want to say that.
You and I aren't the only two that said that the Lions are the power. I mean, if you look at it right now, to beat the Lions, you have to score 40 points.
Yeah, roughly.
And I don't know if Kansas City right now, the way they're playing offensively, they look better. But I don't know if they could deal with that. And I told you, for me, the biggest factor is we got 2 hell of a running backs.
Yeah.
When you look at Gibbs and Montgomery, and for me, they're the difference makers. And then we bring in a young man by the name of Zadarius. What's that name?
Zadarius Smith.
Yes. So I think that kind of shores up the Aiden Hutchinson thing. And I think it makes us a much better team defensively. And if you look at it last week, we looked really good defensively. So I just think we're going to be a hard team to beat.
Is it okay? So I'm going to go on this. I know they're under 500, but is it really fair to have the Bengals at 18? I mean, they're starting to turn the ship around. I would have them better than the Buccaneers right now. I would probably have them over the Broncos and Rams and possibly the Chargers as well. Hell, I could even make a case for them being better than the 49ers. Yeah, I don't. To me, I think that's the most disrespectful ranking on this league, on this week's ranking is having them at 18. I could have them probably around, hell, I would have them at 9, number 12, 10, 11 maybe.
Because you look at the Texans are still kind of iffy to me.
Yeah.
Packers, I know Jordan Love is kind of banged up, so I'll give them a break. But you got I think that right now, Joe Burrow, they still have Joe Burrow. I would hate to say it, but I would put them over your team right now, over the Falcons, and I'd definitely put them over the Cardinals.
Man, putting them over the Falcons, Derek, you're breaking my heart here, man.
Well, because I'm looking at this. You know, Kirk Cousins is a Michigan State guy, but I'm looking at it, Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow, and somehow I end up picking Joe Burrow.
Joe Cool, man. You got to pick Joe Cool. I have no problem with that. I won't argue too much with you on Bengals being that high, even over the Falcons.
Rudy, I'm not to cut you off. I want you to think of this. And then right now, if you were to have what team, we're going to take the Lions out, what team would the Chiefs fear the most that have given them the most problems?
In the NFC?
Wouldn't that be the Bengals?
Yeah, it would be the Bengals. And
Joe
the AFC
Burrow has given them problems.
Yeah, he did. He does. And I think what they did too was they didn't make a whole lot of noise in on the trade deadline, but I did like the Khalil Herbert trade that they made to get Khalil Herbert to back up Chase Brown at the running back position. I still think they could have used a lot more on defense.
Yeah.
Didn't really get a whole lot more, but a lot of moves weren't really made. Mike Williams is a Steeler now. That benefits the Steelers a whole lot. Now you got somebody, in my opinion, that's legitimate across from George Pickens, giving Russell Wilson another weapon there. I like that move. I think ultimately, Derek, I think that puts the Steelers probably above the Ravens. If we're being honest.
I was just going to say that because the Ravens aren't great defensively. If we want to be frank about it. They haven't been the last going on 2 years now. Yeah. So I couldn't argue that.
Yeah, Louisville for the first time. Bills played terrible last week. They're banged up, and it will be a couple of weeks until they are healthy. Yeah, I can see probably that's the reason why they're at number 3. Kansas City came out Monday night and
played terrible now.
Well, was it terrible last week? I mean,
no, because sometimes that's what being a champion is about, or headed towards being a champion. When you don't play your best football, but you still find ways to win. And that's people give Kansas City credit for that. So I can't diminish what they're doing and what the Bills are doing. If I give Kansas City credit, I also have to give it to the Bills. They find ways to win.
Yeah, that's true. You know, and for all argument's sakes, they played the Dolphins. Every year, the Dolphins play the Bills super tough. It's always a close game between the Bills and Dolphins. I don't know why, but it's one of those games.
Or Bills, Patriots.
Yeah, it's always one of those games. It was like, it reminds me back in when the Spurs, back in what, the 90s, Eric, when they would go to Phoenix or they would go to Utah. I would never watch the game because they were going to lose. I already knew they were going
They
to
played
lose.
them back to back.
Yeah, I
One
mean,
of those games is going to end up being a loss. Yeah.
it was always like, I'm going to go to bed. I'll wake up. If they win, sweet. But the chances of them winning usually were not very good. And it was always Utah. It was always Phoenix. It was always Sacramento. Or no, Golden State was another one. I hated watching the Golden State games. Watching Chris Mullin, Hardaway, and Mitch Richmond just go to town on the San Antonio Spurs back in the day. So, yeah, definitely. Tim's in here. He's got a quick question. Is there any way we can get a Detroit citizen or media person, Rob Parker, and ask them where do they rank Derek Gervin among the Detroit legends? Where would they rank you among Detroit legends?
They don't rank me very high, and I think it was because I end up on only playing 2 years at Martin Luther King. But the people in Detroit rank me very high. So sometimes the media, and then I didn't play. Some guys played 4 years, 3-4 years. I played 2 years of high school, but I was first team both years, and I was all state. So I ranked myself a little higher than some others. They say out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people overlooked me because of who my brother is. And but if you were to ask Detroiters, they ranked me up very high.
We're gonna have to get Rob in here sometime, Rob Parker, to get those rankings out for us. And he says, yes, there was. They don't have a kicker at the moment. Some of their best players are hurt. So that is for the Buffalo Bills. Talking to Derek Gervin, with Derek Gervin here, Hall of Famer Rudy Campos Jr. Talking to NFL power rankings that usually come out they come out yesterday. We're talking to him about Wednesday here. Tomorrow night, Antoine the Judge Joubert, Detroit, Michigan legend, played for University of Michigan, drafted by the Detroit Pistons, had an overseas career, coaching some college, community college. Now we're going to talk to him tomorrow about Detroit basketball. A couple of guys that he's played with, the Roy Tarpley being one of them at the University of Michigan, also the famed St. Cecilia's gym. So outside of that, Derek, I mean, ranking wise, I'm pretty good. Can we just call it and say the Cowboys are probably? Can we erase probably and just say they're not going to make the playoffs? And Gio was right. Gio was the only guy that said they weren't making the playoffs on this whole panel.
Hey, Rudy, I have them over the Colts and the Bears. I think that I would have the Cowboys over the Jets, the Colts, and the Bears, to be honest about it. I know they've been banged up. They've had some injuries. But a lot of times when I do my rankings, I do a team if they were to match up against each other. Yeah. And if the Cowboys were to match up against the Jets, I would take the Cowboys. If they were to match up against the Colts, I would take the Cowboys. If they were to match up against the Bears, I would take the Cowboys. I think they're healthy enough to deal with those three teams.
Do you really think the Cowboys have a chance this weekend? I don't want you to make a pick yet. Don't make a pick, but they are going up against Philadelphia. It is in Jerry World, but I mean, their next 3 games, Eagles, Texans, Commanders.
No Dak, man. We'll talk about that later, but I know we'll see what Cooper I don't know. We'll see what Cooper Rush can do. You see they've been showing Trey Lance on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So I don't want Cooper to get hurt. Cooper might be the answer right now, to be honest about it. Sometimes you need to change, and it might be one position. It could be the quarterback position. Cooper gets rid of the ball faster than Dak does. Dak has had a habit the last couple of years. I know he had a good year last year, finished second in the MVP voting. But you know it, Rudy. Sometimes he has the same problem as Shedeur, is holding the ball too long.
Yeah.
And that's been a big issue with him lately.
Yeah, speaking of Shedeur Sanders, joined us on Tuesday night, right about 7:30. We're going to be talking to William Giannis and Brandis. We're going to be going over some Heisman candidates. We're also going over some NFL draft picks. The mock drafts are starting to come out halfway through the year already. So we're going to talk a lot about mock drafts. We'll even talk a little about the Cowboys. What would the Cowboys do? It's going to be coming about every Tuesday. We're going to be add that additional show for you guys to get you ready for mock draft season. Now, I'll say this. Outside of that, I'm not gonna dislike the power rankings. If anything, Derek, I probably would have the Falcons and the Packers flip-flopped 9 and 10 if I'm being picky. And it's not because, Falcon bias or anything. I just think the Falcons look a lot better than what the Packers are right now. That's just personal opinion. I wouldn't argue with people about it. Texans aren't going to be really good until they get Nico Collins back, which should be very, very soon. The surprise is the Cardinals, man. I mean, we didn't expect the Cardinals to do anything this year, and they're still sticking there. I mean, they're still competing with everybody in the league right now. So, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they're leading the division at 5-4 ahead of the Rams and the Niners. So, I didn't expect the Cardinals to be this good at all with Kyler Murray. There's no doubt about that.
I'm surprised, but they have played well, and they've played really well like the last 3 or 4 weeks. And they look pretty good. And Kyler, as we know, Kyler can get out and if he's necessary, if he's not making that pass, he can get out and run that ball. They look like a good team. They look better than they've looked the last several years. So I can't argue with them being up there. I'm kind of surprised, but they've earned it.
Yeah, they have earned it. Shout out to Pro Football Talk on their power rankings. We use them every single week for the power rankings until the next one comes out next week. We're going to let this one go. It's Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. Tomorrow, Antoine the Judge, Joe Bear joining us. We also have Tuesday night, we're going to have our new mock draft show coming out before Sweep the League. So it's coverage, wall-to-wall, coast-to-coast coverage, sport to sport, everything you guys can want. Just join the network. How do you join the network? You go to YouTube. You search Sweep the League TV, you subscribe there, you hit that notification button. Derek, we're up to 1,180 subscribers. We're just continuing to just add subscribers after subscribers.
Yeah.
So appreciate you guys up there. Watch the videos as well. The more watch time we have, the better all this gets. We've got a lot of prizes going out still. I mentioned it last night. I'm mentioning it again. If you leave a comment, whether it be on a short, a video, a pre-recorded video, Sweep Unplugged, we're going through all the comments. We're replying to your comments. When we reply to your comments, we drop an email. All you got to do is email us back. We're getting contact with you. Boom, you're a winner. You're a prize winner just for interacting with us. We've contacted 10 people, haven't got anybody contact us back yet, so be sure to check your replies on your comments because we're trying to give away a bunch of stuff. Bunch of autographs, giving away gift cards, giving away some cold hard cash too. So be sure to check your replies. It's going to be, when we get back, Derek, it's going to be NBA talk, power rankings. I even see people giving up on the Spurs season after, 8 games already? They're already giving up. I'm going to see if you can try to talk a lot of these people off the ledge here. So when we get back, we'll talk some NBA with Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. We'll be back. Are you looking for a contracting company that gets the job done right the first time? Look no further than MCS General Contracting. MCS specializes in top quality concrete work, including patios, driveways, foundations, and swimming pools. The team of experts are dedicated to delivering exceptional results and unparalleled customer satisfaction. At MCS General Contracting, they're not just hardworking, they're local. Based in San Antonio, they are committed to building relationships and trust within the community. That's why MCS guarantees your satisfaction. They pride themselves on getting the job done right the first time, every time. So why wait? Contract MCS General Contracting today to schedule your project and experience the difference for yourself. MCS General Contracting. Building a better San Antonio, one project at a time. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Do you love sports? Are you a current or former athlete? Or maybe you're a leader in business with a passion for success? Then we want to talk to you. Join us as a guest on Sweep Unplugged. It's our 15-minute segment where we dive into inspiring stories from the world of sports and business. All you have to do is visit podmatch.com/sweeptheleaguetv and send us a message. Thanks to Podmatch, connecting has never been easier, and it's a fantastic way to grow your network. We're looking forward to having you on the show. Contact us today, and let's get you on Sweep Unplugged.
Exclusive interviews with Rudy and the crew. Let's go. we build a legacy. Yeah, they know the name. STL Music, it's a movement, not just a claim. Loyalty, respect, that's the code we honor. In the face of adversity, we stand stronger. We build a legacy. Yeah, they know the name. STL Music, it's a movement, not just a claim. Loyalty, respect, that's the code we honor. In the face of adversity, we stand and struggle.
All right, welcome back to Sweep the League. Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Coach Gio should be back probably within the last part of the week, probably Friday when we get his pick'ems in. Rudy Campos Jr. Again, Sweep Unplugged, brand new podcast coming out, 3 or 4 episodes already into that. So basically it's us unplugging from regular Sweep the League and plugging into life in general. We're bringing you authors of books. It's part of Iron Refocus. So you just had an interview with WWE NXT stars. We're bringing you Carl Darden from ArmyNationTalk.com. A lot of stuff going on. So we're bringing a whole bunch of more podcasts to you guys out there. That's Sweep Unplugged. Shout out to Best Boys Podcast. Also, shout out to Lean Left, Lean Right. Just a bunch of stuff coming out. It's going to be a network. We're going to have a 24-hour network here pretty soon before you know it. So be on the lookout here. It's going to be Sweep from coast to coast here. Derek, power rankings are out. Before we get into talking about the Spurs and getting people off the ledge, newest power rankings from the Score coming out. Oklahoma City is number 1, Boston 2, Cleveland 3, Phoenix 4, Golden State 5. The Mavericks at 6, Knicks 7, Lakers 8, Memphis 9, and Minnesota rounds out the top 10. Where do you think those rankings are right now? Do you kind of agree with those right now?
I don't agree with Phoenix being over Golden State for one. There's just something about Phoenix when they match up against Golden State. They don't usually have an answer for Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And if you look at it right now, Buddy Hield has been playing really well as a replacement for Klay Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a little deeper than Phoenix. So, yeah, that would probably be something I would change. I would have the Warriors would be my number 4 team instead of Phoenix Suns.
Would you happen to move Cleveland above Boston right now?
Ew, boy, that's a tough one. Yes, right now I would because they've been very consistent. Donovan Mitchell hit I think his first game-winning basket the other night. The guy's had a remarkable career, but he hasn't hit a lot of game winners. They look like a team that's playing well. Darius Garland seems to be happy. I don't know if he was so happy at the end of last season. There was trade talk that maybe he wanted to be moved if Donovan came back, but they all seem to be playing in sync right now. So, yeah, I would probably have Cleveland over Boston right now. And then you add in tonight's game, which I think Boston gave away to Golden State. Yeah, I would have Cleveland number 2 right now.
Definitely, nobody can argue the fact that Oklahoma City's number 1. And it's terrible in a way because they still don't have Hardenstein back. Like, they don't have him yet. And that's kind of the scary part. Adding him, some people say it's going to mess up the chemistry when they bring Hardenstein in. And I don't know if that's going to be a problem. I think it's still going to be fine. But legitimately, the Oklahoma City Thunder, can we say are leaps and bounds above the league right now?
I think so. About a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I said them and Boston were head and shoulders above. But Oklahoma City, when their biggest problem could be when you have too many guys, Rudy. But the good thing, the positive, is they're all team players.
Yeah.
So you don't. I'll go to Phoenix, for example. I still think Bradley Beal, believes he's an all-star. And sometimes when you have guys like that kind of go outside the offense, I'll say, and sometimes they might play for themselves because they're trying to prove to people that they can kind of contribute heavily and make a team a winner, that can upset the chemistry. But when you bring in a guy like Isaiah Hardenstein and Alex Caruso with a group that's already team-oriented, I don't think that can mess up the chemistry. Hardenstein will come in and it'll make them even tougher because you can put him right at the center spot and you can put Chet where I think he belongs in the first place, is at the power forward spot. And, man, they're going to be there all year. They're going to be a hard team to deal with. And they're so deep. They could play 11 or 12 guys.
You're going over 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I know the Mavericks and the Knicks are probably lower than what we're going to expect to see them towards the end of the year. I think they're going to be within the top 5 at the end of the year. So, again, beginning of the year, it's not any surprises right there. But the Lakers at 8, it seems that you've been mentioning, and I've agreed with you 100% on that. You know, when LeBron is trying to do too much, that's when you see them falter. Is it ever going to get through his head that it's got to go through AD? It can't be LeBron time anymore. And that and JJ has to be, I hate to say, JJ's gotta let him hang and make sure to put LeBron in place, knowing that, you know, we got to do more than just this.
You want LeBron well rested come playoff time, because people can try to ignore it all they want, but 40 years old is 40 years old when you're talking about NBA. So you kind of want to preserve LeBron. So you got to take some of the load off of him. And you got Anthony Davis, you got Austin Reeves, you got Hachimura, you got some offensive players, D'Angelo Russell. Now you got the rookie Dalton Connect. Yeah. So they've got guys that can carry the load. And I think LeBron is better at this point. I honestly see LeBron as the guy he still can get 20. But I like better when he plays and he gets the 20 points, the 8, 9 rebounds, and the 10, 11 assists. If he plays that way, I prefer that better than him trying to get to 28 to 30 points. I think that hurts them with the lineup, the unit that they have now. But if he was to just play consistently, 20 points, 8, 9 rebounds, 7, 8, 9 assists, I think that makes the Lakers a much better team.
Yeah, Memphis right here at 4-4. I have no doubt Memphis is going to be bouncing back later on. I do.
You see me. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to ask you. Did you see that move that Ja Morant made? When he acted like he was going to dunk it.
Yes.
He did a 360 and laid it up with the left hand.
Yes.
Player of the year for me so far. And it's going to be hard to beat. Man, that was absolutely scintillating, fantastic. I saw it. Oh, man. I said, Ja is back. I mean, just fantastic. One of the best moves that you could ever see.
Do you think the 4-4 record is just basically a starting point for Memphis, because Ja's just coming back, Desmond Bane's just, you know, getting his feet wet again. The addition of Zach Edey, Jay Huff, you know, I mean, you got a lot of guys that are just starting to gel again.
And then incorporating Zach Edey. And Edey, if you look at Edey the last few games, he's becoming a very big part of that offense.
Yeah. And
so he's getting, I think the last game he had some Hakeem Olajuwon stats, like 25 points or something, double-figure rebounds, and he did it on 90% shooting.
Yeah.
So, that makes them a better team. Jaren looks more relaxed, Jaren Jackson Jr., playing his natural role. I think as the season gets, they're only going to play better as the season goes on. So I would have them over teams like the Lakers. I just think they'll be a better team. And what's going on with Marcus Smart?
I don't know, man. That's a good question.
I'm
not too sure.
I'm just trying to figure out, because they need him. To me, he's kind of that guy that you need to be the glue. And when you put him in, and you got him and Desmond Bain and Ja Morant, the only other team that has anything even similar to that in my mind is when you look at Boston with Derek White, Drew Holiday, and now Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
So I think Memphis is going to continue to get better.
It's going to be a while, because Smart, I think, is out with an ankle injury. So he's considered week to week right now. So I think once he gets back, it's weird. It's kind of what we said about Memphis. Memphis is going to be that team where you're seeing them on high, then you're seeing them low. They're going to go up and down for a little bit, but come All-Star break, probably top 5 team in the West. They should have gelled by then. You're looking at everybody just back into form. Ja's in form right now, but he's just going to continue to get better as the year goes. Memphis is going to get better as the year goes. So I think you're right there. Number 9 is good for them. 11 has Orlando. Man, you know how high I am in Orlando, but it's exactly what the score says.
They only 11 now because Paulo's been out the last, 2-3 games now?
Yeah.
They would be higher than that. But the question, Rudy, you skipped over is which team are we seeing the identity of the Minnesota Timberwolves? The rim protection is kind of making me nervous as far as them being as good as they were last year. I know they brought in Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, but
that's not defense.
No, they struggling around that basket defensively. And Julius is a guy that's never been known as a lockdown defender. And then sometime, his offense has been up and down. But for me, they're the surprise team of the year so far because going into the season, I had them unquestionably top 3 in the Western Conference. And right now, man, I'm watching them. They don't look great at all.
Do you think they make a trade at the trade deadline? Because they really can't go out and get another defender. At least not on the front court. They can't. Well, I don't think there's anybody out there.
I was hoping that Naz Reid was going to make up just the length of Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Change some things for them. They altered some shots. But if you look at them now, remember they had those 2 guys you had to go through. You had to go through Karl Anthony to get to Rudy Gobert at the basket. And if you look at it now, what's his name? Mr. Christian Brown?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He kind of
showed that defensively they're not the team that we've been accustomed to seeing the last couple of years. And I think another thing hurting them, Rudy, quickly is I think Anthony Edwards is shooting too many 3-pointers. Yeah. He's taking 11, 12, 13 threes, man. I mean, come on. He's a guy that should be attacking that basket, getting the highlight dunks. It's okay to take the threes, but he's shooting too many of them. And I think that's hurting the team. But you saw his response, right? When he was told what the people said about him shooting too many threes, his response was F him. So
you love the maturity of some of these players, don't you?
Hey, man, Anthony does a lot of talking, man. The way he's talking, they should be number 1 in the West right now.
Yeah, they should be number 1 in the league, according to Anthony Edwards. There's I love the confidence, but at some point, and this goes to Victor Wembanyama as well. If you're not making the threes, quit shooting the threes. I mean, I got to get with you on that in a little bit here when we talk about the Spurs, but it's kind of crazy. Sacramento at 12, Denver at 13. It's, again, early in the season. I doubt we see Denver that low.
I don't know, Rudy. Have you seen Jokic? Jokic has been crying like Luka and LeBron lately.
Yeah, he's got LeBron syndrome. I have seen that.
Well, I won't say LeBron syndrome. You know who I'm going to say, but we'll see.
Luka? Is it Luka?
Russell Westbrook, man.
Oh, yeah, Russell.
You look at Russ. Russ has been up and down. When he's good, he's good. But when he's bad, he's bad. And so we'll see how that goes. But right now, Denver's struggling.
Yeah, you're going down the list, man. The Spurs are surprisingly that are 18th on the list right now. They're 3-4. The Clippers 3-5 now. Yeah, they're down even bigger now. One of the worst teams in the league that we've seen constantly is the Detroit Pistons, but they're steadily at 3-5, man. And they're improving there. Can we say
well, I wish you'd have said that yesterday because they lost tonight on the alley-oop dunk by Brandon Miller at the buzzer, basically.
Oh, yeah. I got the highlight on my phone when it came to that game. I was like, oh, God, that did not happen, did it? But again, it's a team lacking. Do you think it's not even a superstar, a star veteran, just lacking a star veteran that would make this team go to the next level?
Yeah, Tobias, well, we know he's not a star, but I was hoping that Tobias was that missing piece. Yeah. But I think they're going to continue to be competitive throughout the year. And I still like the additions of Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. So I'm not going to count them out yet. I've heard people say they don't defend. But to me, they play very hard.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then you got Jaden Ivey is becoming a much better player. Cade is being more consistent. Even the rookie, Ron Holland's not looking too bad. So I think they're going to upset a lot of teams. I actually, this between you and I can tell the people on air, I got a guy who used to be the mayor of Windcrest here in Texas. Well, you know Windcrest in San Antonio, basically. He told me if the Pistons go to the playoffs, him and I are flying to Detroit. So I told him to get those tickets ready because the Pistons are going to be in the top 8 teams when it's all said and done.
Well, they are number 11 now, and basically they're tied for 7th. You know, they're a game and a half out of the 7th spot. So I know it's real early, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of looking at Detroit and saying that the possibility's there. It really is there. Shout out to special evening gentlemen. JC's in here. Thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate you joining us here on Sweep the League, brother. Derek, people are going to gripe about this, but we knew how bad Philadelphia was without Joel Embiid. Now he's getting suspended for 3 games. A lot of people said you wanted to punish Joel, you should make him play back-to-back games, but they're not going to do that. So he's going to be sitting out 3 games. Philadelphia it's terrible, but the Milwaukee Bucks, which I remember telling Gio, I said when they traded Drew Holiday and they got Dame, they became a terrible team. They are not 1-6 terrible. There's no possible way. If they in the first 10 games can't win 2 or 3 games, it's got to be about time to start talking about Giannis. It has to be.
But you notice how quiet people have been on Doc Rivers?
Oh, very, very.
I believe since Doc has been with them, what are they, like 18-26 or 18-27? Yeah. I don't understand it. First of all, you go from Mike Budenholzer. I still don't never understand that move. I know I heard he had some personal things going on in his life, but I don't remember him asking for them to let him step back and not coach. So I think Giannis has something to do with him being moved. And then you bring in Adrian Griffin, and they go 30-13. They were playing fantastic, and then you fire Adrian Griffin, and it hasn't been the same since. They brought in Doc Rivers, him and Dame together. It just hasn't worked. I remember this, though, Rudy. I'm hoping that we don't ever start hearing any gripes about Giannis moving. Well, not from Giannis, at least, because Giannis is one of those guys that kind of made some comments about guys like Kevin Durant moving around, guys like LeBron moving around. So now it's time for Giannis to suck it up and try to make his team a lot more competitive than they've been lately. It's not just Chris Middleton. It hasn't worked out right now. Taurean Prince is there. Gary Trent Jr. is there. But they've been struggling. And as you know, same as last year, Dame has trouble guarding one-on-one, stand in front of guys. And then even when they make him switch, he's having trouble. Because now he's getting stuck on the bigs under the basket. And I think that's wearing Dame out on the offensive end of the floor. So Doc's got to figure it out. And he's got to figure it out quickly, or he won't be around much longer.
Well, we know for a fact that they're probably going to get rid of Doc Rivers before they get rid of Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's no doubt about that. They'll make a coaching move, but if the season is lost, and say Giannis isn't asking out, even though you and I, behind closed doors, we've talked about this is Giannis's last year. If they don't win the title, he's probably going to go. And even Giannis has come out and said that if they don't win, he feels like he's going to be traded. So he kind of has an idea of something.
What's missing?
Well, on that team, a lot.
I'm only going to name one thing that can kill a guy's energy. Where is Thanasis?
Well, yeah, that is true. He's
Seriously,
not even on the team.
People might think I'm kidding. Who's the guy that you saw always pumping Giannis up when things weren't going well? I think some people forget Thanasis is the big brother, not Giannis. And sometimes when you take that player away and it's your brother, those kind of things can start to filter into the locker room. And I'm dead serious about that. They don't have the same energy that they had when Thanasis was there. And you always saw him on the bench, whether it's with the towel or whatever it may be. They just don't look like a team in sync.
No, they don't. And that's the terrible part. And that's where I'm kind of getting at it. If it's almost a lost season, Giannis isn't going to necessarily say he wants out. We know probably deep down he wants to compete. The guy wants to win. There's no doubt about that. He's winning. But it's got to be at a point where the Milwaukee front office says, okay, we're not winning. We're really not going to get anything for Dame, to be honest with you. You can get something. Who would you get more for? You're probably going to get multiple first-round picks for Giannis. So do you start the rebuild process if this season is lost? I mean, I'm going to be real, man. And I love these guys. You know, Taurean Prince is there. But what other players outside of Dame, Giannis, Middleton's always injured?
None.
Exactly. There's none. So if you're going to go into each season with a Dame and Giannis team and you're not improving anywhere else, you may as well trade one of your big guys to get all the assets you can to bring this team together. That's what I look at.
Only guy tradable for me that you could get something decent would be Bobby Portis. And I don't think the fans would support that because he's become a fan favorite.
Exactly.
And you take away his toughness, they're really in trouble. So, I mean, sometimes the grass is not always greener on the other side, but Dame moved. And just like Dame moved, I wouldn't rule it out for Giannis because I already told you last year that if they struggled again, people thought I was crazy. But I told you I could see him in Golden State.
Yeah.
I've seen him. I've seen the Knicks being mentioned. There's a couple teams that have been mentioned. But
Miami.
tell me that you could give up Kuminga, right?
Yeah.
You can throw in a Moses Moody. They've got pieces that could be moved to acquire a Giannis Antetokounmpo. And we know Steph's not getting any younger. So if they're going to make it happen, they would have to make it soon.
I mean, come trade deadline, if they're still bottom 3 in the East, you're going to probably hear a lot of talk about it, a lot of chatter.
What do you think, Rudy?
There's got to be.
You give up Kuminga and Moses Moody or whatever, okay? But you got Draymond still, because Draymond only has, to me, another couple good years.
Yeah.
So you got Draymond, you got Giannis, and you got Steph. And then you build around that core right there. You still got maybe possibly Podziemski, but I'm sure some people are going to want him as well. But I think they could make it happen where they could get a Giannis. It would kind of remind me of how they went after KD.
Yeah. But the thing with Giannis is he's 29. And I think we both have kind of agreed Steph's got 2 years left.
For me, only counting this year and 2 more maximum for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, look at the other teams, the possibility. Say, another team mentioned was Miami. Miami's got, Butler's older, heroes. There's nothing sexy about Miami for Giannis to go down there too, other than, the beach and no tax, basically. You're talking Golden State, but again, Steph's maybe max 3 years, minimum 2 years left in Golden State for his playing career. There's not much after that. I kind of remember telling you the Spurs have all the assets. They've got tons of draft picks, and they've got tons of cap space. So the likelihood of Giannis and Victor pairing, that seems good right there. And you won't have to give up a whole lot other than draft picks, Devin and Keldon.
Spurs.
I'm not saying Spurs from a homer standpoint, but I'm just saying that they are a team that has a lot of cap space and a lot of draft picks. Other than
Keldon, let me see, Keldon. Yeah, I guess Devin. You could give up Devin if you want.
You're going to have to. And then you got you got 2 firsts this year in the loaded draft class. You got 2 first-round picks. Both of them more than likely are going to be a lottery pick if it doesn't come if he's not traded this year, you go to the off season. They might have 2 lottery picks.
What about this though? Even before you get to the lottery picks, Giannis, Victor, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox.
We said that on the trip, on the car ride video that we did. The chances of that happening are super good.
Has he re-signed in Sacramento?
Nope, and he's not going.
Are they looking like world beaters right now?
Nope, 4-3.
Okay, and they don't look that great.
And I'm gonna tell you now, just look at the highlights and look at the games. I've caught a couple of Kings games. The focus is around DeMar DeRozan. So De'Aaron Fox, who normally has the ball in his hand, is a creator. He's not getting the ball, especially in winning time. Go back to the Miami game. It was in DeMar's hands. So to me, that's telling me that De'Aaron is kind of wiggling out of Sacramento. And that's the reason why they brought DeMar in, was because there's no guarantee that De'Aaron was going to be there after this season.
If he leaves, I'm telling you, the 99.9, I'm saying if De'Aaron Fox is not with Sacramento, he is a San Antonio Spur, and his wife will love to be back home. Reese Caldwell, come on back to San Antonio and bring De'Aaron Fox with you.
The only reason why they signed Chris Paul to 1-year deal, because they're leaving that spot open. Louisville for the first. Go ahead, Derek.
No, I'm saying, so what do you think about that, though? If you could get De'Aaron and you could get Giannis, who could pass that up?
Nobody. And all 3 are still young. Giannis would be the oldest guy, if I'm not mistaken, at 29.
You got Victor Wembanyama,
Stephon
Giannis
Castle,
Antetokounmpo, and De'Aaron Fox.
Throw a youngster like Stephon Castle.
Boy. Oh, man. That's scary, even thinking about it.
That's very scary. Very scary. Louisville's in here. He wants to know, what defense do they play in Milwaukee? Then that Doc, he hasn't been great defensively since he was in Boston. There's no defense in Milwaukee.
Brook Lopez is older now, and he's been up and down with the injuries. They didn't sign Dame for defense. When they signed Dame, that was to become an offensive team. But they're not pushing the ball up the floor like the Indiana Pacers. Yeah. So they sacrifice defense. Anytime you give up Drew Holiday, means you're sacrificing defense, and it's hurt them. They don't get stops, and they don't get meaningful stops when it's very important. And then you got Chris Middleton still out offensively. That hurts them. Torian is a good defender. Gary Trent Jr. is a good defender, but they're not great defenders. And then their size is kind of similar. That 6'5", 6'6" guy. Yeah. Those guys are not putting fear into LeBron Jameses and all of these players. So I don't like the way they look, and I don't see how Doc can change it around, to be honest. They're not a defensive-minded team.
Yeah, no, definitely that. He's talking about let Dame go and get Scoot Henderson or LaMelo Ball on the Bucks. I don't think that makes a huge difference.
What does Scoot do for that team? Scoot is not a shooter.
Yeah, and LaMelo's injury prone. I mean, very inconsistent right now, so I couldn't really see him making a big difference there. It says Jordan Poole and Giannis would be a good together in his opinion. Jordan Poole and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, Washington, there's no way that he would go to Washington. That's just a dead end right there in Washington
Jordan,
right now.
Same guy. Did you see him the other day when they played against Golden State? When
I didn't see that.
Draymond and all that kid stuff. That's not winning basketball. So Jordan still has a lot of maturing to do. Giannis wants to win now. You got to get Giannis with some veterans, and that's why I keep saying Golden State. I could see him with the Spurs or Golden State. Other than that, I don't think he makes Miami with the current roster they have. I don't like it. I don't think they score enough. I could see him and Bam playing together, but I don't think that moves the needle. I don't think Jimmy Butler is the same player he was 2 or 3 years ago, and I just don't think they have a good chemistry. I don't really like the Miami team like I have in the past 3-4 years.
Yeah, neither do I. I don't really like that Miami team at all. But one team you can kind of keep in mind, because they've kind of been rumored for a lot of these big names. What are the chances that he might look at Houston? Houston has some assets, and Houston has a couple of picks. And I mean, not a bad team. They've got, Fred VanVleet's there. You're talking about Dylan Brooks, so you got some veterans there. You're probably only going to have to really give up maybe Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, but you won't have to give up a Sengun. So, I mean, I think Houston could be one of those under the table teams that could possibly inquire about Giannis. So keep that in mind. Tim Gonzalez, Wemby, Giannis, Flag, Castle Fox. That's a little too much right there. I
don't know. It's Cooper. What about I don't know if some of these people have heard, like Tim. I don't know if they're very familiar with Ace Bailey.
Oh God, I'm trying to tell people about Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper being 1-2 in the draft. I don't have Cooper Flag as the number 1 pick next year. I really do not. I mean, no disrespect at all when it comes to the Duke Blue Devils and Cooper Flag. I do not have him number 1. And as a matter of fact, Derek, I'm just going to go off on the limb here before we go on here. I don't even know if Cooper Flag is probably going to be their best player on the entire season.
They got that kid. What's the guy? Hit all the threes the other night.
Yeah, Con Knipple.
Yeah,
I saw him play, and I've heard a little bit about him. Before he got to Duke, I didn't know how good he really was, and seeing him play, holy cow, man! This kid can play.
He's raised his stock already.
In one game, I think he finished with 22 points, but the shooting gets you. He gets to the basket. He plays so. It's like the game completely slows down for him, and can't believe I'm talking good about a Duke Blue Devil player, but I have to do my due diligence here. But I really think at the end of the year, Knipple's probably going to be the best player for Duke.
He's pretty mature.
Yeah, I mean, he really is.
Yeah, he's not a guy that's going to be a flash in the pan. We're talking about him today, and then all of a sudden he disappears off the radar this season. I only think he's going to continue to get better.
Yeah, he's going to get really good. So I would keep him on your radar. I think he stays 2 years. I don't think he's going to come unless he has a brilliant year this year. I don't think he comes out of the NCAA this year, but you never know. He probably could. JC's in here. Love the family impact inclusion on the analysis. Important role that plays in our lives, brothers and wives, immeasurable impact. So yeah, the Thanasis move for the Milwaukee Bucks could be haunting them with Giannis. And hey, man, if you come to San Antonio, they got a few roster spots they can give up.
Hey, Rudy, I'm going to tell Jay, and I'm glad JC, that's a good point. Yeah. If you look at it in Denver, Jokic is not the same when his two brothers are not around. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
He's so used to his brothers being in the stands, and they fight for him. And I mean literally and figuratively. They ready to go at it when it comes to their brother. But, a lot of times that matters. Ja's dad was on the bench or was behind the bench a lot of times.
Yeah.
And if you look at Brunson right now, his dad's on the bench for the Knicks. It matters, man. These guys, sometimes you need that guy that's going that extra push, that person that makes you feel comfortable. And so when I said Thanasis, I really meant that. Giannis has not shown the same fire that he's shown in the past. And believe me, it bothers him not having his brother on the roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can see that. And it's making a difference. I mean, 1-6, Derek, there's no reason why that team should be 1-6 right now. I mean, I understand struggles, but that kind of struggle with a former MVP and actually a MVP candidate year in, year out, a sharpshooter like Dame Lillard, there's no reason they should be 1-6 to start.
And isn't it 6 losses in a row?
Yeah, 6 losses in a row. There's no reason why that team should be 1-6 right now to start the NBA season. Tim is saying Khan is a late first-round pick. If he continues to play the way he's playing, he's a lottery pick.
Yeah.
Because what is the NBA? They need shooters, and he's a hell of a shooter. He can get to the basket. Am I wrong before we go, Derek? He looks a lot similar to where we saw Dalton Connect. Very methodical scorer, gets to the basket, plays the game really slow, allows it to come to him. Very smart. I'm watching Dalton Connect part 2, but I think he's probably a little bit better than Dalton because at least with Khan, he can get to the basket and he can make a play at the rim. Dalton has trouble. Dalton's a shooter, but he has trouble getting to the rim and finishing. What I saw in Khan that first game, I don't know. He's got a pretty good package right there to work with.
He looks like a keeper, man. And, they're going to have a tough team this year. But to me, going into the regular season for me, and I know they just started playing, he would be their main player for me. And then it would be Cooper and the other guys. Cooper had a really good game as well. I have to give him credit. He had like 18 points, about 6 rebounds or something like that, 6, 7 assists. So he played well. But, yeah, Khan right now, he looks like a guy that potentially be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, from what I can tell, if he continues this type of play, top 10. I mean, definitely lottery. I wouldn't say outside the lottery. He would definitely be a lottery pick, probably top 10. His stock's going to just improve if he continues to play the way that he did. So just a reminder, guys, tomorrow night, Antoine the Judge, Joe Bear is going to be joining us here. Detroit basketball legend. We're going to talk St. Cecilia. We're going to talk to him a little bit about his years at the University of Michigan, a lot of other stuff. I know him and Derek are going to have a whole lot of fun on the show. I'm going to pretty much let them do what they got to do on the show. I'm going to throw in a couple of things here and there. Also, Friday, we got our pick'ems coming up on Friday. Didn't do too good this past weekend, Derek, but, I had some upsets that I took on there, and I think you had some upsets that didn't come through for you.
We both tied. We were both 9 and 6. I had trouble sleeping that night.
I will admit to everybody, all the listeners, that I did get a text message from Derek pretty late, like, Lee, how did I go 9 and 6?
Oh man, I'm telling you, I had trouble sleeping, man.
The games that you lost, I had some of them winning. The ones that I lost, you had them winning. So we both went 9 and 6. And like I said, the NFL games were actually a little bit better for me. The Falcons came through. I think I had the Falcons, you had the Cowboys, I had the Commanders, you had the Giants.
I only had the Cowboys playing the odds. I'm saying at some point they got to surprise everybody and win a big one. And then before the game, of course, they had some more issues. They just continue to have issues, man. But Rudy, tell me this: what's easier? What do you think is easier to pick? Is it the college or the NFL?
NFL.
NFL? I agree.
Well, I take it back. College, yes. It's a lot easier in a sense of the ranked teams are probably going to win, but it always comes back to those A&M South Carolina. They're playing in South Carolina. South Carolina always plays tough in South Carolina. It's a night game. It's this, it's that. There's always a lot of factors. I think the NFL is easier to pick only because you put it this way. The pro game is easier to study and kind of get a feel for it than the college game. Because college game, it's just, it's like the NCAA March Madness. Anything can happen.
And it's so up and down in the college game. Man. I mean, you watch one game, you like it changes within 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And sometimes a team like Vanderbilt, you don't know what you're going to get that night. And they can mess up. I know the people that gamble mess up your parlay or whatever that means. I don't even know what that means. But I've heard a lot of people say, they messed up my parlay. And one day I'm going to have you explain to me what this parlay means.
Well, you got to get Gio. Gio's the gambler, so we got to get him on there. Parlay is like picking multiple teams, getting them all right. That week you went 13-0, that would have been a massive payday. I will tell you that much. So that would have been a huge payday right there. But yeah, definitely I would say college is tougher only because you never know what you're going to get, man. It's so tough. So we're going to get our pick'ems on Friday. We've got a bunch. Man, the games this weekend are going to be good in college football. You got Indiana, I think, going up against Michigan this week. So that's going to be one game that we're going to have to sit down and really think about, because even though Indiana's undefeated, you never know what Michigan team you're going to get. Even though they're struggling, it's that one game that they just decide, oh, we're going to play good now, and they upset Indiana. So we'll get all the games this weekend. Before we go, man, I wanted to ask you that, and it's funny because I completely forgot what I wanted to ask you. But before we go, here it is. If Cooper Rush wins, Dak's going to be out 4 games. He's going to go in the IR. So they said minimum 4 games. If Cooper Rush goes 4-0, do you just leave Dak on the bench?
4-0?
If Cooper wins 4-0, if he goes 4-0,
that sounds more.
Well, no. I'm saying if he goes 4-0, even 3-1 or 4-0.
If it's 4-0, Dak, we just want you to get healthy for next season.
Okay, so you would basically shut Dak down.
Yeah, because it's only 8 games left, 9 games left.
Yeah,
9 games left.
No, it's
aren't they 3-5?
Yeah, about 8 games left. 8 games.
They're 3-5, right?
3-5, 8. So
9 games
9 games.
left.
9 games left. Correct.
So if he goes 4-0, I mean that puts them at 7-5. There's no way you can go back to Dak if they go 4-0.
But Jerry's pride is going to take over, Derek, and he's going to force the hand to play Dak.
Oh, I thought you meant as far as winning. So if Jerry wants to do the Jerry thing, then you go back to Dak. But if Cooper looks impressive, and we've been through this before, where I thought Cooper played pretty well in Dak's absence.
Yeah. And
then when they come back, they go back to Dak. But at this point, I think Dak has proven. What has Dak really done in the playoffs, Rudy?
Not win, that's for sure.
So,
I mean, what do you have to lose? But
right now, you got to go with the guy that's getting it done. You've seen several changes. They went to Flacco from Anthony Richardson. There's been changes, and Derek Carr was sat down. If you're really trying to get in the playoffs and do well, then you got to go with the guy who's doing it right then at that time. And if Cooper Rush goes 4-0, to me, it's not even a debate. You go with Cooper Rush. You ride that wave.
Well, then if they do that, then Jerry cares about winning finally. Because if they go 4-0 and he brings Dak back in, they don't care about winning. And that's
Jerry's not aging backwards either, man. So
that might be a good thing for Cowboy fans.
You better go ahead. Do you think it's a realistic chance that they could do well on this break? While Dak is out?
If you want my honest opinion, which I know you do, I know. I think they play better, but they're not going to win. The Cowboys' problem, it's not just the quarterback. It's a lot of different things. So making a change at quarterback, it's going to help, but it doesn't put them over the hump. They're still going to struggle, I think.
It's not going to help them defensively against the run. Can't argue that, yeah.
Yeah. So when we come back on tomorrow, it's going to be Antoine, the Judge Jobert. We'll have him for a while. If not the host show, we'll have more talk about the NFL, NCAA. Friday is going to be Pick'em week, so get ready for that. But until we get back, man, it's going to be fun. Enjoy the NBA. We got college games tomorrow. College basketball started. It's just everything except baseball is going on right now. So everybody enjoy sports while we have it. For Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr., until we sweep the league again tomorrow, we'll see you later, Knuckleheads.
Everybody have a good night. Stay safe.
Are you a hockey fan looking for the latest on the Edmonton Oilers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and NHL news of the week? Barry and Carson Best bring it all to you on the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. They break down games, provide insider updates, and keep you up to speed every week. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and join their hockey family.
Welcome to the Lean Left, Lean Right podcast, where spirited debates and open discussions reign supreme. Join hosts Rudy and Shemaya as they dive headfirst into the hottest topics in politics and beyond. They're all about seeking common ground without losing their passion for their perspectives. If you're ready for real talk and honest opinions, subscribe now and join the conversation.
For the ones who doubted, now we're showing the proof. Came from the struggle, we live in the truth.
STL Music.
Yeah, challenges come, but we here to stay. Built from the dirt, now we paving the way. Had a bad day, but this life. Exclusive interviews with Rudy and the crew. Let's go. Yeah, Prescott Cologne for those nights when you don't want to score, just go night night. Oh, we them boys are still America's team. Close your eyes and make a wish, and spray some INT. INT signature, yeah, yeah.